I've been continuing to coach people just in a different way, and help people in a different way, and different group coaching and things like that. But the advice that I'm giving these folks, and it's a lot of young people especially, is that the biggest advice is to just to take action, to whatever it is, however small it is.
Hi everyone, welcome to Go All In show here. My name is Stant and I am your host today. I'm super excited to welcome my special guest with us, Rick Ornelas. Am I saying your last name correct? Welcome to the house, Rick.
Oh, hi Nim. Yes, you said it perfectly. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure.
That's such an honor to have you on our show for sure, because I know that we're all busy, and you just wrote your book last year, 12 Hour of Heaven. Okay, I'll touch base about that. But before we go there, can you share with us what you do now, and what was the backstory before you get to do what you do?
Yes, it's there's definitely a contrast from where I was to where I am today. And like a lot of us, I've gone through a period of growth in the past year, more so than any other time in my life. I've grown in the past year. I'd say I've grown the equivalent of probably 10 years prior, in terms of my personal development and my awareness and just who I am as a person, and who I am in serving others. And what I was doing before is I was a business coach and consultant, working specifically with doctors, helping them, teach them leadership in business, how to have an effective business and grow. And then last year, when the pandemic happened and a lot of things slowed down, my business slowed down like a lot of others, because it wasn't something super necessary for folks. So they decided to put training on hold and put those services on hold. And so I found myself with a lot of time and a lot of energy, but not a lot to do, like others. Just being stuck, isolated. And originally that was a really scary time for me, because I'm a doer. I'm someone that is always on the go, doing action. Always one thing to the other, and I couldn't go work out, and I couldn't go see my clients, and I couldn't do anything, and so it was really tough. And I didn't want to, I got, a little anxious, a little depressed, and that's not a comfortable place, for me. And I quickly realized that I needed to do something. So I wrote, like you, I wrote a blog at the time, which was entitled How to Use COVID as an Opportunity. And that was it was a 2-part blog about using the time to grow, to help others, to be grateful for all the wonderful things that I had, and to take it as an opportunity to do something that I had never done before. So that's when I started. That's when I decided to write, which was in the late March, beginning of April. That's when I decided to start writing, just soon after the pandemic.
So you were working with the doctors, teaching them about the business, about the leadership, and now totally changed because of the COVID. And that's similar to my journey too. What is the simple thing that you changed that really helped you stay on track and discover your dream, I believe?
Yes. Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I'd say, if I really had to isolate it to one thing, I would say that it was in shifting my mindset. So my mindset prior to that was probably one of comfortability, which is a place where I think a lot of us get to, is that we get to a certain place where, we're putting food on the table, we're paying our mortgage, we're happy, we have some sense of fulfillment. And so we're just, we go from day to day because there's no big struggles, things pop up here and there, right? But you deal with them and you move on, and you're, like I said, you're very content, and it's a place of, contentment, I guess. Yeah. And what happened is I realized, I was like, okay, that can all change like that. And in an instant. And I realized that there's no sense for me to live here, live small when I could live, there's no limit, right? There's kind of endless potential. And once I kind of remove that glass ceiling, if you will, from my brain, saying, oh, that, you're going to be here all the time, of that there's, there really is no potential. Then from there, it was just, it opened up like this, just, constant flow of ideas and creativity and, and output and, all these actions that were leading to wonderful things. But I started adding all these different things to my routine and on a daily basis. But I'd say the crux of it is just, that shift in my mindset of removing those limitations and just saying, hey, you can go way beyond comfortable.
Yes, I agree. You can go way beyond our comfortable. So pandemic really teach each of us, many of us, something, and some of us turn out very beautifully, but many still struggling, and it's still uncomfortable and dark. What was your advice in terms of, if they don't know what they want, they still struggle, their business, maybe they lost. I had a friend that just had to close down the business, and now still figure out what to do. What's your advice about that?
Yeah, it's something that I've been working with people since then. So I kind of never answered your earlier question about what I've been doing since then. But what I've been doing is I've been continuing to coach people just in a different way, and help people in a different way, and different group coaching and things like that. But the advice that I'm giving these folks, and it's a lot of young people especially, is that the biggest advice is to just to take action, to whatever it is, however small it is, right? So even if it was someone that was telling me, oh, I had given them a book, right, that I suggested that they read, and they were struggling reading the book, and I was like, look, just open the book. Just start with just opening the book. Just open it and read the title. Just look at the first page. Look at the table of contents. You don't even have to read 10 pages or 30 minutes or an hour. Just start with opening the book. Start with one little thing. And so the biggest advice would be to just keep moving forward in every small step at a time. So if you find out, hey, my business closed, I can't do anything. All right, and I don't know what I'm going to do next. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep moving forward. I'm going to start searching for a new opportunity, or do some research, or figure out how to expand my business, or bring it online, or do something new. Like, just you keep moving forward. Just never stagnate, because when you stagnate, like anything on the planet, then that's when you wither up and die.
And die. Yes, and we don't want to be there, for sure.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the 12 hour of heaven. Okay, how can it connect? And you wrote this book during the pandemic. So what's in your mind at that time?
Yes, it's interesting how it all connects. So when I wrote that blog where I said I need to use the time as an opportunity, I decided to take my own advice, and I realized that I had this book in my head for 20 years and I hadn't written it.
Oh, okay.
And I had been getting little signs here and there to maybe it's time to write. In July of 2019, my father got sick, and then he eventually passed away. And I told him, I'm going to write this book. And then, another year went by and I still hadn't written it, or almost a year. And so I was like, I need to write it. Well, the story for 12 Hours of Heaven, it's a fictional story about an angel that is sent down from heaven that helps 10 people. They get stuck in an elevator for 12 hours. And during the 12 hours of being stuck in the elevator, he's able to help each of them with the biggest challenge that they have in their life. And he's able to help get them unstuck, if you will, to move them past where they are, where they are at that point. And I was someone that needed to get past. I needed to get unstuck from where I am. And the story actually, the idea for the story actually came 20 years ago when I was in a major car accident with my wife and my 2 young daughters at the time, who are since grown. But we were driving down the freeway. We were living in California at the time. We were driving down the freeway and it started raining terribly.
Wow.
And I lost control of the car, and we spun across 4 lanes one direction, and I tried to correct, and we spun back across 4 lanes the other way, and we didn't hit anyone. And then we went off the freeway, and we went up a dirt embankment, and we hit a brick wall and flipped over, and we landed back on the wheels. And the roof was smashed down, and the glass was shattered, and the side was all shattered, and the glass shattered, and the car was full of dirt, and all of us were completely unharmed. Not a scratch on my daughters, on my wife, no cuts, nothing. And witnesses said that it was the most incredible thing they had seen, and they thought that we would have been, dead for sure when they called the paramedics and everything. And when I reflected on that accident after it happened, I also wrote something. I wrote a to-do list of ways to live my life, to be grateful, to live like it's the last day of your life, and help others and all this. And my mom had told me, your guardian angel must have protected you that day. And that's where the idea, when one day she'd give me a little pin to stick in my car, a little angel pin. And one day I'm looking at that angel pin, and the story hit me in my head, just like that. The story came into my head like a movie where I saw the whole story very clear. And I just didn't write it for 20 years. And then I feel that I wasn't at the right place, mentally or spiritually or emotionally to write it until last year, when I was pushed to that point. And then that's when the story came out.
How can our audience find this book?
It's on Amazon, it's on Google, it's on, Ingram Spark, all the different channels. It's all over the place. Just 12 Hours of Heaven, Lessons for a Better World is the subtitle.
What is the subtitle again?
The subtitle is Lessons for a Better World.
Wow.
Yeah, and the lessons are the things that the angel teaches each individual. Those become the lessons, which are things that really have helped me in the past year and throughout life, and things that can help others, things like practicing gratitude, or being still, meditating and practicing stillness, serving others, giving to others. I mean, just principles that really anyone can live by.
Right.
That have a big impact.
I mean, anyone can live by, but it's not easy to do, just to remind ourselves to do it. Your 3 girls, they grown up, they, become young adults now. How can you teach them as their father to really using what you learn to teach younger generation like that?
Well, that's something that I work on every day, because being that they're young adults, they're Generation Z. I mean, it's tough to communicate, right, to the different generations. And you have kids, and I'm sure you experienced that a little bit, in some fashion, the communicating with the different generation. But it's actually something I've researched a lot, because I have a degree in communication. I've studied it for 25 years, and I still work on it every day to try to improve it. And what I try to do for my daughters is just to model the right behavior, because what I found is that if I try to tell them too much, then they just hear it as noise, right? Dad's trying to teach us a lesson again. So I try to, model the behavior, show them what I'm doing, and then hope that some of it has an impact. And I do see the signs. I do see where, they'll do something, and then you're like, oh, I actually taught them that. And they may not realize that I taught them that, but you see it impact in their behavior. And actually, I was fortunate enough, because I just did completed last week a challenge, a 3-day challenge called Level Up Your Life for Generation Z. So for that young generation, 18 to 25 kind of range, to help them get unstuck. A lot of them have been struggling with anxiety and depression and isolation, and it was been amplified because of the pandemic. So we did this 3-day challenge to help show them how to communicate and be aware of their emotions and everything. And all my daughters participated. They all joined in. We had a few people from all over the world, and they all joined in, and they contributed, and they got a lot out of it, which they told me they got out a lot out of it. So that shows me that there are some of the messages getting across, even if they may ignore me sometimes when I try to tell them something.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's the right thing to do, just to be a role model for them, to be a good example. I
Yeah.
appreciate that answer. Um, so the last question is how what's your advice when someone really a hard time, and doesn't have that right mindset yet and doesn't know where to go, no mentor, no role model. How can they start?
I'd say that a good start is to if they're not someone that's going to read a book or connect with someone or anything, and if there's someone that's going to go more internal, is to start just becoming aware of their mindset and aware of the behavior. And this is what we were teaching the young folks in this course, is that it all starts with awareness. So it starts with, if you start if you start finding yourself being really negative or saying, "Oh no, it's a terrible day" and everything,
Yeah.
then guess what? It's going to continue down that path. So the first advice, suggestion I would give is just to start being aware
Yeah.
of it, so you can start to catch yourself
Mm.
in the moment. And once you start becoming aware, and then you start catching yourself, then you can start working on doing some positive reframing or some different techniques to say, okay, let me take a step back and look at this situation and say, all right, it may be terrible right now or look really, really glum right now, but what positive outcome, can come of this situation?
Mm.
It reminds me real quick that in Texas, we had that freeze that happened a few months ago where it was snow, 8 inches of snow in
Yeah.
Houston, and
Yeah.
crazy stuff that we had never had, right? And
Right.
at first, we had no power, we had no
Yeah.
water for
Yeah.
days. So at first, you're like, "Oh my gosh, this is terrible," right? It's 40
Yeah.
degrees in the house and everything. But we went out and we played in the snow, and we went out and we had a bunch of friends come over, and we all got to just enjoy each other's company, and we played games, and so it's like, like the saying goes, you make lemons out of lemonade, right? We made
Yeah.
best of the situation, and we
Mm.
could have just said, this is terrible, and be miserable. But once you become aware, you're like, okay, what can I do to make it better? Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's where I'd say to start.
Wow. That's a good advice. Yeah. What can we do to make it better right now? Be aware of it. Wow. Thank you so much, Rick, for your advice. And how can our audience reach out to you?
Thank you for asking, first off. And the best place is, our website is I Spark Change. So the letter I and then sparkchange.com. And there they'll see daily inspiration. Same thing on all social media. So Facebook, there's an I Spark Change group and community. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're on all of the channels. But and iSpark Change, they can also join the community, and they'll find out more about what we're doing to spread positive change in the world, and about different challenges and things like the one we had in the past week. But that's what I'm really working on. Is the book's great. I hope to inspire people with that. But what I really want to do is to help grow this community of people that want to positively impact the world, and help to influence others, to do the same, and inspire others to do the same.
Yeah, I love it because as I interview many people, we all have the same purpose to impact the world, and I hope that more and more people will join us with this legacy, with this journey. Thank you so much, Rick, for leaving your legacy here, and I can feel it, like the passion that you have. Keep going and keep inspiring us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on Go All In, Nim. I really appreciate it, and I hope I've inspired someone with these couple words. Thank you.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much. And you make it very simple to understand. That's what I appreciate the most. Well, we're looking
Good.
forward to welcome you back in our show again next time. Thank you for being here.
All right, my pleasure. Anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.